How do you do? I'm Brent Guntz. Back around the beginning of television, 1949 to be exact, I had the good fortune and pleasure of originating and producing a most successful television feature. It was called Shadow Stumpers. It was a challenging, fun-filled television game based on identifying silhouettes of all manner of common, everyday things. It started in Baltimore and it spread to Washington, D.C., and then on to more than 100 markets around the country. It was a feature on the Gary Moore CBS TV daytime show for 2 years, and it went on to Canada and to England, to Australia, and then about 1962, it faded from the scene. Well, believe me, in its day, Shadow Stumpers was some audience getter. There were early evening ratings of 20 and 21. There was a 23 once. And it was most successful commercially. Over the years, it appeared in several different formats. There were individuals in the studio competing. There were families competing. There were phone-outs, mail-ins, presented strictly for home viewer guessing. Shadow Stumpers was a game that truly involved the viewer. It was a game the whole family could enjoy, and did. All ages, all intellectual levels. Watch.
Well, let's get on with the business here of guessing the shadows. We show you a series of shadows. You try and figure out what they are. They could be anything. They could be people or places or, well, they could be parts of things or anything in the world. You'll see how it works as we go. Here comes a shadow up on the screen, and maybe you can tell us what that is. And that was Ivel with her hand up first. Ivel, what do you think that is?
It looks like an electric ironer. One of the ones that you put the clothes in, and then the thing turns around. I don't know, but it looks like that.
Yes, it does, but I'm afraid it isn't, and I see that Mr. Berger has his hand up over here. So, Mr. Berger, suppose you tell me what you think that might be.
I think that's a mailbox, Brent.
Mr. Berger, you have hit home, all right. One score of 5 points. That's exactly what it is. A mailbox, as you will see on your screen in just a... There she is, a mailbox. And you know, these shadows, you're never really right or wrong. It's all in what the shadows look like to you. And here comes another shadow that might very well confuse you. Mrs. Spatz had her hand up first this time. Yes, Mrs. Spatz, what do you think?
Probably completely wrong, but it looks like a Scottish bagpipe to me.
It does, doesn't it? You know, it could be anything. It's not that. Not that. So does anybody else want to volunteer and see if they can figure out what the Buzz... Is that you with your hand up? Buzz Spatz has his hand up. Yes, Buzz, what do you think? What do you think, Buzz?
An iron board.
An ironing board? Well, it's a perfectly good guess, Buzz, but I'm afraid that's not quite what it is. I think you'll find that that is a bicycle seat, photographed from below. Well, now, our next shadow will be only for the grown-ups. So, youngsters, you can relax for a moment, and we're going to call this one of our shadows of diminishing returns. You get 50 points if you get this right. Each time I have to give you a clue, we take away 10 points. Now, all right, let's take a look at this shadow and see if anybody can identify it for 50 points. For 50 points, no clues, for 50 points. Mrs. Berger has, no, Mrs. Spatz is going to take a crack at it. Yes, Mrs. Spatz, what do you think that might be for 50 points?
First and the last one, it looks to me like a turkey before it's stuffed.
Yeah, good guess, but not quite it. Let me give you a clue now. For 40 points, just a little shaver. Just a little shaver. Mrs. Berger is about to... Just a moment. Here comes Mrs. Berger with a guess for 40 points.
Some kind of an interesting razor. But I don't know what kind, because I'm just guessing it from the clue.
I'm afraid not. For 30 points on the shadow of diminishing returns, just a little shaver always gets the point. Always gets the point. Just a little shaver always gets the point. Mrs. Spatz with her hand up. Yes.
A pencil sharpener?
A pencil sharpener gives you 30 points for the Spatzes. That's exactly what it was. Father Spatz is tremendously proud of Mother Spatz. All right.
Now remember, this was all in black and white. This was before color really blossomed. This was before videotape and computerized graphics. We simply worked with black and white photographs of common, everyday things. We covered them with a cardboard mask to make the shadow or the silhouette, and then we withdrew the cardboard mask to reveal the subject. Oh, I'll admit our photographers were quite ingenious in producing provocative shadows, but it was technically very basic. And yet back then, even with those simplistic props, Shadow Stumpers provided continuous visual impact and fascination for its viewers. It was one surprise after another as the subjects of the shadows were revealed. It was plain, good old-fashioned fun. That's what made it so popular.
No. We will show you what it is. It is a canoe.
That is exactly what I thought it was, only I didn't want to waste a guess.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, but that was yesterday. I was on the air host for Shadow Stumpers in Baltimore back in those days. And today, would you believe, more than 25 years since it left the scene, rarely a week goes by that some adult viewer from the 1950s or some child of that time now in their 30s doesn't identify me with Shadow Stumpers and sing its praises. Now, these are shopkeepers and postal clerks and bank tellers and business executives. Yes, the happy memories of Shadow Stumpers have lasted more than a quarter of a century. Man, that's impact. And that's why we're bringing Shadow Stumpers back for another round of challenging fun. Revitalized, modernized, computerized, color and motion added, Shadow Stumpers becomes a fresh as a daisy dynamic over-the-air, cable, or video cassette attraction. Let's take a look. Well, that should give you some idea of the all-new Shadow Stumpers. It's a basically intriguing idea, all gussied up with color and motion and special effects. This is not read your newspaper and half-watch television. This is front and center, full-attention television. And there's so much more just waiting to be turned into provocative shadows. Famous people of the day, historic figures, names of books, songs, cartoon characters, well-known sayings like, for instance, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, or a rolling stone, or an ounce of prevention, on and on and on. Embroidered with the trappings of a Wheel of Fortune or a Jeopardy, you've got a real winner for 5 a week, daytime or early evening. On video cassette, it's a great home game for family playing or party time.
That is exactly what I thought it was, only I didn't want to waste the gas.
Thank you. Let's talk about it.
If you like this, make sure to subscribe to my channel for more. And check out my Facebook page for other exciting content.